Oh yeah, welcome to Throwback Hoops episode number 91. I am not Woody V. Instead, I'm your guest host today, Mookie Schiralli, doing my best to keep the chair warm for the great man. And of course, I'm joined by none other than the man you all know and love, the owner of one of the planet's largest throwback jersey collections, Robbie Clayton.
Mooks, how are you, mate? Really been looking forward to do this one. Now, you're already doing a better job than Woody hosting this, so you're a natural in the host chair, mate. So
hoping I can take his job, and when he gets back, he's lost his job.
That's right. No, it's great to have you back on. I know we only had you on, I don't know, I'm going to say a month ago, maybe a little bit more. But you must have made a good impression if you're getting an invite back within a month, right? Yeah.
It's a tough gig.
And now you're in the host chair.
Yeah.
I'm just going to kick back and just chill for this show and just get asked some questions. It's good.
That's it.
Nice.
Right, so maybe Rob, do you want to should I introduce my jersey first, or would you like to go with yours?
You go first, and I'll take it away with the jerseys. What do you got for us today?
Well, I'll start off with I didn't want to rub this in too much after your Cats had a subpar performance against the Kings just the other day, which I had a first-hand presence to be able to witness. But wearing this nice Nike jacket from the Kings from back around 99, 2000.
Very cool. That's almost like a player issue type thing. I haven't seen one like that.
It is nice. Actually.
And
it's a rare one that's actually a bit too big on me because it's super
nice.
long and big. So it was, I think, for one of the bigger players, it was, got it from a player issue.
Awesome.
Dispense and underneath, I'll see. This is because you guys have all the obscure references and the hard to find players. So I'm really going to challenge you on this one. I'll be very surprised if you can work out who this is. So I had to really reach on this to try for something you might not have seen.
I'm intrigued here.
So nothing yet. Any
No, nothing yet. No.
Okay.
Oh wow.
So this is from my time in the UK when I lived in London for 6 years, and this is Great Britain. Any ideas?
The only ones that are coming to mind are like Luol Deng or like John Amici or.
This is the first British-born player to be drafted as high as he was. He was drafted 30th in 2006 NBA draft.
Was he a big guy?
Yes.
Yeah, I'm picturing the. I'm gonna blank on that one.
All right.
This is an obscure one. I'm loving this. Joel Freeland. Yeah, of course. Portland Trailblazer, right?
Yes, indeed.
Nice. I did remember that. I was actually I was going to say it started with a J, but it's easy to say now. But that's a nice jersey, that one. Yeah, that's about as obscure as you can get, right?
I tried my best. It's from obviously my Portland Trailblazers fandom, and in those days that the crossover, I was living in the UK and being a Portland fan. And Joel Freeland, as I mentioned, 6'11", weighed 48 pounds, power forward / centre. He represented Great Britain, and he started out under 18s, and then he found his way into Spain and played for Gran Canaria. Got seen there, and the Trailblazers drafted him 30th in 2006. So, as I said, that was the highest for a British-born player in the history of the draft at that point. And
cool.
Because Luol Deng was not born in Britain.
No, of course. Yeah,
and the Blazers encouraged him to stay over there. He played Gran Canaria for a bit while he was, improving his stocks. And 2014, he recorded 17 rebounds in a game, and the next year recorded 16 points, his career high in points. But only a 3-year career, 150 games or so. But 3 points a game, 3 rebounds a game.
Mate, loving that. That's about as obscure as you can get. Yeah, Great Britain jersey. Was that? I'm assuming that was probably even hard to get in the UK, was it as well?
It was very hard. I've got a Luol Deng and I've got this one, but there was a brief moment where, because of Luol Deng and Ben Gordon, the Great Britain basketball team got a popularity, but it was pretty hard to find. I was try to find jerseys from every country I'm in if I can.
I like that. No, I'll definitely pay that. It's definitely an obscure one and not a name that I've thought about for quite a while. So, well, I might continue that theme, right? I thought I'd do a double Blazers in honour of yourself today, being a big Portland fan you are. So, well, the one hanging over my shoulder, I won't talk too much about that, but it's very recent new one, actually. So it's a Portland black Nike Josh Hart jersey. So just got this one last year, and I was telling you the other day on this one, Mooks, I think I got this one, let's say on a Tuesday, and on the Friday of that week, he got traded to the Knicks. So literally I had that jersey 3 days, and he got traded. So I was pretty annoyed about that, to be honest. It was like a custom order thing from the NBA store. I thought, oh, cool, like, nice obscure one. You're not going to see a lot of Josh Hart jerseys out there. I think regular viewers of the show will know I'm a big fan of that guy. I just love the way he rebounds for someone that's, 6'4", 6'5" there. He's an amazing rebounder and quite a handy player. Obviously, we saw him playing for USA in the recent World Cup there. And I'm expecting he'll play a pretty big part with the Knicks this year. But yeah, haven't had a chance to wear it yet, given he was only there 3 days. Were you a fan of Mr. Hart back in the day?
Yeah, I like it, and like you say, like it was great to see him with USA doing that. He was playing that sort of power forward type role for them, and he, it adds to the obscurity of that for you. So it adds to the obscurity of the collection. It's a bit like a Rasheed Wallace Atlanta jersey.
Hey, I've got a better one than that. I've got an Andrew Bynum Philadelphia 76ers jersey. So if you remember rightly, he never actually played a game for him. So I don't even know how I got that jersey or why I got it, probably more importantly, but I've got one in there, so I might pull it out one night. But, well, the one I'm wearing, I'll stand up and show you this one first. This is a nice retro one here, Mooks, so I know you're going to like this one. I'll tell a bit of a story, and it's a little bit of a sad story, but let me show what I'm rocking today.
And of course, he's wearing the Uncle Spliffy, Cliff Robinson jersey from the great man back in the day.
That's right. It's a nice one, this one, isn't it? I was actually thinking when doing my research, Woody as well, we're big fans of Survivor. So he was someone that made an appearance on Survivor maybe around 2015, 2016, I think it was. That was cool to see him. But I'll just talk a little bit about Uncle Cliffy. So played 18 seasons in the NBA after getting drafted out of UConn by the Blazers at pick 36 in the 89 draft. So went on to play with Portland, Phoenix, Detroit, Golden State and New Jersey before retiring in 2007. Look, I think he had a great career. Averages around 14 points. He won a Sixth Man of the Year in 93. The one lone All-Star appearance in 94. 2 all-defensive teams as well, Mooks, which I thought was a pretty good effort there. He's also part of the NBA 50-point club as well. Playing for Phoenix, he knocked out a 50 playing for them. So, unfortunately, as you know, though, not a happy ending here, Mooks. So Cliff Robinson really suffered some health issues. So he suffered a stroke firstly in 2017. 2019, he started to undergo treatment for cancer, and then sadly, a year after that, passed away due to complications from lymphoma, and obviously the treatment wasn't sort of working for him there. So really sad story. He was only age 53 when he passed, so not an old guy at all. But look, really quality career, wasn't it? I think he's one of those early sort of ones when you thought of someone wearing a headband, you'd think of Cliff Robinson. It was kind of synonymous with the look. I think you also see him in some of those videos of Jordan doing the shoulder shrug, right? When Cliff's right next to him there. But
unfortunately,
that's it. Look, he had a lot of great years with Portland, didn't he? Phoenix as well. I don't remember him too much of those sort of final years in Golden State and New Jersey. But yeah, what were your memories of the late Uncle Cliffy?
Yeah, he was a real all-rounder. And as that sixth man, my Blazers fandom really started back around that 91, 92, when that starting lineup, Terry Porter, Clyde Drexler, Jerome Kersey, Buck Williams, Kevin Duckworth, would really solidify, and they were a great starting lineup. And then Cliff Robinson would come in off the bench, and with guys like Danny Ainge or later Rod Strickland, and really give that punch off the bench. But he was just that guy that you could rely on, whichever of the front court guys needed to come off, Cliff Robinson comes on, and he had the ability to shoot from the outside. He was a bit ahead of his time, being a bit of a stretch big and very versatile. And he he had a really good run of just improving his stats as seasons went on. I think he had a number of years in a row where his stats improved each season. And
Yeah. I think he actually held the record at one stage, maybe before Dirk passed him, for most three-pointers. I think for someone 6'10" or over, and he had a couple of seasons averaging close to 20 points. So, yeah, rest in peace to the great Uncle Cliffy there. One last thing before finishing my jersey part. First thing I thought of when I put that Josh Hart jersey on, I sort of looked at Portland and number 11. There was a player that came to mind. Are you getting a player flashback there?
Arvidas?
Arvidas it is, yeah. So when I saw that, like the first thing, then I realised they've had a lot of number 11s over the last few years. It seems like they had Ennis Freedom or Ennis Cantor, they had Myers Leonard, Jamal Crawford, they had a guy whose last name rhymed with Rabbit, and then they also had Sergio Rodriguez back in the day. So it's been a number that's been passed around a fair bit there. But yeah, and obviously, Kevin Knox and Larry Nance also wore it for a short time as well, quite recently. So yeah, Kevin Knox, I'm not sure he's not still there anymore, is he? Is he bounced around to another team, I think? Yeah, might end up in the NBL 1 the way he's going, but anyway. All right, nice. Well, no, that's my jersey for the week, mate.
Yeah, very nice. I like that. That's a great jersey, that one.
For sure.
Very nice. Okay, well, now on that same vein, let's talk a bit of NBA. So the NBA season right upon us. We're seeing these, sometimes meaningless preseason games going on, but it's just really eking out a few things, apart from, ignoring the fact we're seeing NBL versus NBA as well in a couple of instances. But the NBA itself is, we're starting to see a few of these rosters come into shape. It's good, these preseason games, to work out who's going to be playing what positions, who's going to get the starting nod. And as a result, the other exciting thing that comes with that is all the preseason hoopla of predictions, and the sports book comes out. So we've got the numbers here of what are the odds are, the overs and unders on every team in the league on the FanDuel Sportsbook. So both Robbie and I are going to go through and give our predictions on 5 overs and 5 unders as to who we think have been misrepresented in the
And we should say as well, we don't know who we're going to pick. I mean, maybe we can give our picks. Maybe we can quickly go through each team as well there, Mooks. So rather than we can sort of give the 5 as well. Maybe we can just go through each and say whether we think it's over and under. We don't have to spend too much time on them. But I don't know about you. I found this quite hard. I felt like they got some of these numbers spot on. There was, I'll give like example for Atlanta. They pretty much go 41 and 41 every year. They're 41 and a half is their over and under. So I found that they got those numbers right. But well, let's get into it. I found my locks pretty hard, but it'll be interesting to see if we actually match with any of these at all. Yeah.
Good. Well, so on the overs, I've got Cleveland. So Cleveland are given a 50.5, and I think they'll go over that. They were 51 and 31 last season, so on that. Just in terms of having the guys like Evan Mobley, Donovan Mitchell, Garland, Mobley in particular on the rise. And then they add a couple of shooters in Georges Niang from Philly, Max Strus from Miami. I think Cleveland should do better than last season by some measure. The only question mark there for me is Donovan Mitchell. I don't know. There seems a bit of friction there. Any thoughts on Cleveland?
Well, you might be surprised. I had them as one of my 5 unders for a lock. So it just shows you straight away how we're different, right? And it's interesting because I do rate this Cleveland team. I think I said maybe in a few, about a month ago, I expect they could be up there in the East. I just think the East is going to be a lot closer this year. I think we're not going to see a lot of teams really breaking away. We might see Boston and Milwaukee, mid to late 50s, but I think a lot of the teams are going to be sort of mid 40s to that 50 mark there. And look, I'm saying a lock for under. It might mean, in my opinion, that they get, 48 or 49 wins, but it's still an under there. So isn't that interesting? We both started with 2 difference there. I think my slight concern with Cleveland is maybe back up at the guard spots there. If someone like Garland was to go down there, obviously Rubio's, not really expected to play there. Not quite sure who else they've got in the backcourt there, but they're a talented young team for sure. And you're right, they did add some improved shooters in Niang and Max Strus as well.
They need those shooters, but yeah, absolutely. I mean, there is concern at the guard, and Donovan Mitchell, for some reason, I feel like there's some little murmurs there, and will he, if the season's not going well, start the trade rumour mill? Who knows?
Yeah.
Next over I've got is the Bucks. So they're listed at 53.5. They were 58 and 24 last season. Now, it's kind of contrary to the way I normally read things, because I normally heavily lean into defense, and I feel like the defensive presence they have lost will hurt them. But I just don't I think they will be worse than last season, but I don't think they'll be as bad as 5 wins worse.
I totally agree. Yeah, I had them as one of my locks as well. And really well said. Yeah, you're right. 58 last year. They might end up with 56, around that sort of mark there. I think they hopefully have a bit more health than they did last season. Middleton hopefully be more healthy.
Yes.
So, yeah, I think that's a good one there, isn't it? We should say as well, I think the highest and the lowest as well, Mooks, from what we saw. So, Boston with 54.5 is the highest one there, and Washington at 24.5. So, when I sort of looked at that, I thought, 54.5, it doesn't sound like a lot, but only 2 teams went over that the whole of last season. So, Boston with 57, Milwaukee with 58. So, the highest in the West was Denver with 53. So, last year, only 2 teams over 54.5. So, it's not quite as high a figure as what you think there, right?
Yeah, it's funny how some of these numbers stick out at you, and sometimes you just remember the extreme highs and extreme lows too much. Skews. Yeah. But it is hard to eke out those extra wins or extra losses in the
That's
NBA.
it. Yeah.
The next over I've got is OKC. So this is one of the harder ones for me, but they're listed at 44.5, and they were 40 and 42 last season. I feel like they may just surpass that. The continuing maturity of the core stars they've got there, the likes of Shea, the Josh Giddey, we're expecting much bigger things from him, the way he's been performing. Those 2 guys during the off-season in international played really well. Lou Dort, they've got all that core of guys, and then you add Chet Holmgren in.
Yeah.
And it feels, I know there'll be a bit of a acclimatization period there, and them getting accustomed to playing with him. But he's such a talent. If he can stay healthy, that's going to be a big boost.
I was different with this one. I had under for this one, but in my notes I've got just in capital letters. So, yeah, I was really sort of on the fence with this one. I think if they were to win 44 games, I think that's a really good season, right? 44 games would have got them in, like 5th or 6th place, last year. So I think they'd be pretty happy with that. That would obviously be an improvement by 4 games if they were to get it. But, yeah, I think not a bad prediction there. You've got a lot of upside on that team. And potentially they've got room to make a trade in the season as well. If they decide to go out and try and get a vet, towards the end of the season, or something, that's something they could definitely do. So
that's kind of been part of my thinking. I feel like they're going to think it's almost time to swing for the fences.
Definitely. You can't keep these draft picks forever, can you, guys? All these stockpile of draft picks till 2030. I mean, why not trade someone? Look for, maybe not a superstar, but maybe a semi-star guy that's a little bit unhappy during the season and bolster your team. So, nice.
Yeah. The next over I've got is the Jazz. So they're listed at 35.5.
I'm with you. Yeah, we are.
Good. Yeah, I mean, they were 37 and 45 last season.
Yeah.
And you look at Lauri Markkanen, he's playing so well. You add in your good mate, John Collins.
Yep.
And they are a very big team. You've got Big Walker Kessler in there. There are concerns at guard with Sexton, Clarkson, and Talon Horton Tucker being the main contributors there, but they are so big, and just watching them against New Zealand, just the struggle. I know that's not an NBA team, but just seeing how big they are up front, it's scary.
Yeah, that number really stood out to me when I was doing this exercise. I actually was surprised that it would be a lower prediction than last year. Last year we saw they start really well and didn't quite finish well. But yeah, I think guys like Walker Kessler will be all the better for it. They pretty much got John Collins for nothing. They got Rudy Gay's trading for Rudy Gay's corpse there. So I think he'll be in the starting 5. He could help out there. So yeah, I think that's a good one there. If I actually was a betting man, which I'm not really these days, that would be one that I definitely would consider some money. I mean, it wouldn't shock to see Utah go like 41 and 41, right? Which would be nearly 5 or more than 5 games over that over and under there. So yeah, that's absolutely a lock for me as well.
Yeah, well said. I mean, we saw how well they started the season, and Lauri Markkanen, he looked really great during field play as well. And yeah, he's such a star, such a star.
Sure. Yeah.
The last over I've got is the Wizards. So we said, listed at 24.5. And yes, they are one of those teams that look like a bit of a mess and a bit of a dog's breakfast in terms of off-cuts of players. But I just feel like, despite, they lost Beal, they lost Porzingis, but I just feel like this team might come together and just rise together as a unit. They might be one of those surprise teams. They've got Poole, who's come in, Tyus Jones, who's underestimated, Landry Shamet, and Daniel Gafford. I feel like he's ready to step up and do even more. Kuzma's hit that reliable scorer part of his middle of his career, and then Denny Avdija. I'm saying that incorrectly, I'm sure. He's got potential to come on strong, and I just feel like 24.5 might be too low for them.
I agree. I thought that was quite low as well. It's interesting, last year we had a few teams that were under that amount. Spurs and Houston were both on 22 wins. Detroit was on 17. So we had 3 teams with less than 22. But yeah, I agree. I think they've got a few guys that are potentially playing for contracts there. I do like what Tyus Jones is going to give them. They seem like quite a deep team. Probably... hopefully they should mesh pretty well and go all right there. I mean, I think both of us, Mooks, we're not predicting him to have an amazing season or even push for the playoffs, but, they could definitely win 27 games, for example, right, which would definitely be an over. So, yeah, I had them as a lock as well. So it's interesting. We had three of those 5 we had the same. So I think they were Utah, Washington, and... Milwaukee. I think we had all 3 of those. So
Cleveland, you had
so I had Cleveland as an under. Yeah. Well, I'll tell you my 2 other ones that I had that you didn't have for an over. So no shock here. I'm going to put my Homer hat on here and say the Hawks. Look, the reason being, right. So the last 3 years, the Hawks have been pretty much a carbon copy, right. So the last 3 seasons. They were 41, and they won 41 last year, 43 the year before, 41 the year before that. So I can see why they've done this over and under of 41.5. For me, I think having Coach Quinn Snyder there, I think having him from the start of the season in a full training camp is really going to help them. I know it's only pre-season. They lost today, but they've looked pretty good so far. Got a deep team, I think, and that's what I've been saying about them for a while. I think we're going to see guys like Sadiq Bey and Jalen Johnson really, having really good breakout seasons there and getting extra minutes without John Collins. Onyeka Okongwu has really worked on his game. They're really high on the draft pick Kobe Buffkin out of Michigan as well. So, and great to see Paddy on the floor as well, just quietly, even though he's 1 of 11 in 4 games, I noticed today. So that actually makes my Thursday night shooting percentages seem good when I say that. But so I'm going to say the Hawks again. I'm not getting carried away with the Hawks, but I wouldn't be surprised to see him. Let's say 44 wins, Mooks, and that would be a couple of games over there. So. Look, a little bit of a homer call, but maybe not too much there. I'm expecting them to win more than 50%, and hopefully better than last year when literally the whole year they'd win 1, lose 1 just for the whole season. So, and the other one I had, this might be a bit of a surprise actually, one that might shock a few people. So it's a team with over and under of 31.5, and that's the Houston Rockets. So I'm predicting them to win more than that. I really like what they've done in the off-season with that team. I mean, it feels like they've really changed the whole team. They brought in Van Vliet. They've brought in some veterans. They've brought in guys like Jock Landale as well to, give them some bigs there. They got rid of Kevin Porter Jr., which is probably a good thing for the locker room and everything else like that. Dylan Brooks, we'll see how he goes. Not quite sure whether you can rely on him. He already got ejected in his first game for him. But, 31.5. Last year they only won 22. So, look, it's a massive improvement there. And I just think they've got a good coach this year. Obviously getting Udoka coming over there. So I think he's a good coach that will sort of go well with a young team there. So, I'm having them as a lock, which may surprise a few people. Again, it might not be too much over, but I would not be shocked to see them win like 43 or 44.
Yeah, I don't think that's a bad...
Sorry, 33 or 34, I should say. Yeah, not getting carried away. Yeah.
No, I actually consider them, and I do agree. I think the likes of Van Vliet and Landale coming in underestimate. I think Landale's going to do really well, and I agree. They will be better, and it's one I definitely considered. Nice. All
right, we'll see if we agree on any of these unders, right? I'm surprised that we got 3 of those, and we got 30 teams to choose from. We picked 3 of the same. And interesting with the Cleveland one, that was the one that you had as an overlock and I had as an underlock. So we'll see if we get any more like that.
There could be some others, So, right, on the unders, I have got the Clippers. So they're listed at 46.5. They were 44 and 38 last season.
Yeah.
For me, it's just you never know who's turning up. And there's plenty of competition in the league for wins this year. And I just feel like some of those games are just going to slip away because you never know. You're going to get Kawhi, you're going to get Paul George. It just disrupts the flow of the team so much when those 2 key offensive and defensive players sometimes there, sometimes not. Maybe the NBA's policy on resting will come to help them, and the shaming factor will be the thing to get them over the line. But I just don't know.
Yeah, look, I didn't have them as a lock, but I do agree. I'm probably expecting to go a little bit under there. The Kawhi Leonard one, I mean, we were talking fantasy before we started recording tonight. I think nearly every draft I was in, I'd see his name come up there when I had a pick. I'm just like, why would I pick him? Why am I going to pick someone that's going to play 52 games a season? It's just, I'm not sure. I'm never quite sure with Kawhi as well there, Mooks. Is it like him? Is he a bit soft, or is it like medical stuff? And I've never quite worked it out. He doesn't seem to have that real hunger and maybe ability to play through pain. I mean, someone like Russell Westbrook, you could see doing that, so maybe he'll have a solid year for him. I think there's just a few guys on that team like Terrence Mann and a few other guys that we've been sort of waiting to break out for a couple of seasons now, and they just haven't seemed to have done that. Right. Not sure if they've got any currency to be able to get Harden over there, but you're right. What are they won 44 last year, and it's 46.5. So yeah, I think under's a pretty solid prediction for that.
Yeah. Next, a similar situation. I've got the Grizzlies, so they're listed at 45.5. Yep. They won 51 last season, but the whole Morant distraction and the upheaval that brings to their season, not to mention the loss of talent of having him out and then him having to reintegrate, and even losing a guy like their good Canadian friend who left for Houston, those things can play. Marcus Smart comes in, he fills that role defensively. He's an upgrade there. Yeah, but I just feel like that whole your star player being out is a real mess for the franchise.
Did you hear, Mookie, so Ja Morant, his two favourite all-time players are Chuck the Rifleman Person and also Pistol Pete Maravich. So there is apparently his two favourites. No, I thought I put a bad joke in there. But, look, it's a bit of a drop, isn't it, from 51 last year to us saying it's a lock for under 45. But, look, it's hard to disagree with that. I'd really like to see Jaren Jackson Jr. take a bit of a step up this year. I know people have been knocking his rebounds there. He needs to do better there. He can't average 6 rebounds or whatever it is there. Desmond Bain's solid. I think he's going to put up some really big numbers, especially with Morant out. But, I think you're relying a lot on Marcus Smart, aren't you? I'm unsure how he's going to go going to that new team there. He's just been with Boston so long, it might take a while for him to settle. I would have preferred if they kept Tyus Jones, to be honest. I think there's a lot more upside with him as a point guard. But, pretty solid pick there.
Yeah. Then another one, Philadelphia. So they're listed at 48.5. They won 54 last season.
Yeah, I've got that too. Yeah,
agreed. That whole Harden bombshell is going to explode at some point. That won't last long. He's playing good boy to come into camp just because I think he wants to make sure the trade happens. Yeah. So one of two things happens: either he eventually explodes and doesn't play because of he's not happy, or he gets traded for 60 cents in the dollar, and either way, there's a lot of upheaval there. So they're still a playoff team, but they're not a contender for me, and I don't think they will. Yeah, I think they could fall under that 48.5.
Yeah, I agree. I definitely had them as an under as well. It's a little bit of I don't know. There's a few guys getting minutes on that team I'm not sure of. Even Tobias Harris at this stage of his career, how much you want to rely on someone like him. And, will Embiid try and force his way out if things don't go well? And that could really, like you're saying, who knows? There's a lot of variables to go with this team. But no, I think that's a pretty good prediction for an under there.
Yeah, I think Embiid's reaching that point, and he's very happy to throw people under the bus. We've seen that in the past. So he may throw the rest of the team under the bus in the process. Next is my Portland Trailblazers. So
this would have been hard for you to do, right?
It was, but it's something I have to accept and move on for the season. This is the reverse homer bias. 28.5 they're listed at. They won 33 last season. And obviously, there's been a big, we're in the rebuild phase, and it's going to be rough. Scoot Henderson will be amazing in patches. He'll be horrible in others. He'll have 8 turnover games. Anthony Simons, I think, is going to be fantastic, and I'm expecting a really big season from him.
Yeah.
I don't know that Jeremy Grant is, I know that Jeremy Grant is not worth the money that he was paid. And that was an unfortunate thing that was done, I think, because they had to. They thought they were retaining him for the sake of trying to hang on to the relationship with Lillard. And DeAndre Ayton, I'd love to see him resurrect his career there being the man. I just don't know if he has the motor or passion for that. Or the flexibility in his abilities. I just don't know that he can. And the other thing is at the guard position that they're stacked. There's a lot of talented guys there. And
Shaden Sharp, I'm really high on actually. I think I pretty much got him in nearly every fantasy team I'm on this year. Someone's got to put up some stats for those guys, right?
Yeah, I think between he and Anthony Simons that they will. If I was the Blazers, and there's talk of it, do they trade Malcolm Brogdon and try to get someone who's more on the timeline with what they're doing? Because Shaden Sharp, fantastic. You've got Matisse Thybulle backing him up. We know Matisse's offensive deficiencies. There's a lot of question marks. It's going to be a rough season. It's going to be a hard one to watch, and it's all about just the rebuilding project.
Hey, refresh my memory there. I just noticed they went 1-9 in their last 10 games last season. Was that just a straight-up tank job to end the season? I can't even really remember there. Or did they have legit injuries? I can't really recall.
I don't think it was legit injuries. It was I think it was more a matter of they were already out of things, and Lillard pretty much talk of him being on the way out. The end of the season is always such a mess for me. I don't even recall because every team, there's too many teams tanking. It's kind of all forgotten.
You never know what to believe, do you, at that time? No. Yeah. All right. So who were those 5 again before I get into mine? So
I've got one more. So,
okay. Sorry.
Yep. So the very overhyped San Antonio Spurs. So they're 28.5, and they're listed at, and they were 22 wins last season. I just, there's going to be a lot of excitement with Victor Wembanyama coming in, but the impact just won't be there. And across the squad, it's a very inexperienced squad. There's not enough talent across the board. It's a real development season, I feel. There's a lot of guys for the future there, but they're going to give him the keys to things at some point, and he's going to make a lot of mistakes, and there'll be a lot of inefficient offenses and all that. We've seen the exciting highlights and seen what he can do defensively, but I think offensively there'll be a lot of inefficient stuff will happen.
No, that's a decent one. I did consider that one as well. They should be a little bit more improved, but then also a lot of these teams out west have improved as well. I think there's going to be a lot of Zach Collins and Jeremy Sohan and stuff like that, which solid players, but they're not quite up to par with some of these guys in the west. So interesting. So all right, so you had what? Portland, San Antonio,
Philly, San Antonio, Grizzlies, and Clippers.
Okay, well, I had Philly. So Philly was the only one that had the same as you. The other one I mentioned when we did the overs, I had Cleveland. So I'll talk a little bit about that. So 3 others that I had there. I'll say the one that everyone's expecting. Shout out to my boy Sydney Sea Kings. Of course, that's the Miami Heat. Of course, I'm going to say they're going to go under. An absolute lock for me. That was probably my easiest lock for the whole time. So 48.5, I reckon they'll be closer to 40 wins than they will to 48 wins. So I'm going to say considerable lock there to go under. I think they're really worse than last year. I think some of their numbers last year, I'm not going to say it was a fluke they got as far as they did, because that's harsh to say, but I think a few things kind of went their way. Lost a lot of their depth. A couple of their, sort of Heat, undrafted or low draft pick guys have gone out and got paid there. I'm just not sure you can rely on guys like Kyle Lowry to sort of lead your team there. Jimmy Butler, we saw his defense really drop off late in the season with a lot on his shoulders there. I think that's a huge win-loss prediction there, 48.5. I mean, that's like, the third highest, I think, in the East there. I'll say my usual thing like I did last year for Miami, they'll probably be a play-in team. I'd say they'll be like 7th or 8th. But, that's probably my biggest lockout of all of them there. So I may look silly again, but, I did predict them last year to be in the play-in, which I was correct, but then they also ended up, going making the finals. So that's my first one there. So again, shout out to you, Sid. I know you'll be probably having a laugh when you're listening to this. My second one. This is one that was a little bit harder. I wanted to maybe do a bit of a different one here, but I've got the Pelicans. So Pelicans at 44.5. So last year they went 42 and 40. I don't mind this Pelicans team. It's not like I've got any issues with them. I just think, like we said before, I think there's some teams in the West that have improved. I think Phoenix will be better. I quite like what Minnesota, that roster they have there. Expecting Denver. I think the Lakers will be better than last year. OKC we've already talked about. So I just think a few teams there. Dallas went 6 games under 500 last year, so we'd be expecting them to improve as well. So for me, the Pelicans, I think you've just got some injury concerns with the big man Zion there. Valanciunas isn't getting any younger on that team as well. So they're my other lock, the Pelicans. So I think I've got two more two different ones. Oh, no, sorry, one more, because I had Philly as well and I had Cleveland. So Miami and New Orleans. My last one, a team I like, so I felt a little bit harsh doing this, but Sacramento for me. Yeah, 44.5 over and under there. Last season they won 48 games. I think they probably got a few teams by surprise last year to win those 48 games. I think they might be right around that 500 mark, that 41 and 41, but I'm pretty confident with that one, actually, that they will be under. I think, guys like Kevin Huerter, Malik Monk, they had really good seasons last year. Can they do it again with a little bit more, defensive schemes, to try and stop those guys? I like what Fox does. I like what Son of Arvidas, Domantas Sabonis does there. But apart from those two, I think there's quite a big drop-off for their third guy. So, I'm going to say Sacramento. So just to repeat my five there, so I had Cleveland, Miami, New Orleans, Philly, and Sacramento. So I think quite a lot of... there was 3 East teams and 2 West teams. I wasn't really picking on the East in particular there. But it was quite an interesting exercise to do that, wasn't it? And like we said, you can see why they get these numbers. A lot of them seem quite spot on.
Amazing.
Was there, if you had to pick one, so say you had to, bet your car or something, okay, I'm not going to say your life or a family member or something. If you had to bet your car on one of these to, the end of the season, I'm going to say Miami. I'm going to say definitely will be under 48.5. Who's your absolute lock there?
It's a tough one. Probably Portland being under.
Okay.
And
is this some reverse psychology thing you're trying to put out there, and then
it's the acceptance of trying to be okay with the fact that we're going to be in rebuild. But it is, to be fair, it's something I've been calling for a while. I think it's it's what Portland needs, and we were sitting on the cusp for too long. And there's the NBA. You can't be there. You can't sit there every season. You've got to go swing for the boundaries, or you just got to tank and rebuild.
All right, so for anyone betting out there, so get on Portland to go under and Miami to go under, and if they don't work at the end of the season, you can send your complaints directly to Woody and he can deal with that.
That's it, exactly. That was a fun exercise.
That was good, yeah.
Very good. Well, switching gears, let's move to a review of round 3 of NBL action. And,
you're not going to make me talk about that game we both went to on Sunday, are you?
Well, I think
we probably should. I
think we really should.
Yeah. Well, look, I mean, firstly, I didn't think it was the best quality game. I think you sort of mentioned to me on a message there, the Kings were shooting 3-pointers like they were Golden State that game, except they weren't going in. I've never seen a team shoot so many threes.
7 of 40.
Yeah, that was just way too many, wasn't it? It felt like they were trying to put Perth away. A few concerns with Perth, if I'm being honest, with my beloved Wildcats there. I do think they stuffed up a little bit with this import situation. So I know they didn't have Christian Doolittle in that game. They brought this guy in 3 days before the season started. I think they personally should have waited just to try and get these matchups and see how they're going, and then try and get a better need there. So I wouldn't be surprised if they consider getting rid of him and getting someone like Cook from Southeast Melbourne, because again, for the second year in a row, our rebounding stinks. So last year they were last in the league in rebounding. This year they're second last behind New Zealand, and there's only a couple of small sample size for the Breakers there. So that was the big thing for me, the interior defense. When you've got guys like Pinder and Saar and these sort of guys down low, I don't know why our rebounding is so bad. But yeah, that was a big thing that stood out for me. I'm not high on Ty Webster, Mooks. He kind of just annoyed me in that game, really. Corey Webster...
4 points and 5 fouls?
That's it. Yeah, you have more fouls than points. And the other one, and a few people have mentioned this to me in the last few days, is I think probably in general with some of these teams, why do they have to play so many players? These teams are playing 1 to 2 games a week, right? And they're trotting out 10 or 11 players. Like, for me, the Wildcats play Adelaide this week, and we'll talk about that soon. Play 8 guys in that game, You've got one game all weekend, like one game, like a social game, like, we play once a week type thing like that. You don't need to run out with 10 or 11 guys. Play your starters 30-plus minutes a game and try and roll with it that way. So it's not that long a season. It's a 28-game season. Like I said, 1 to 2 games a week. So, yeah, that's probably my long little vent on the Wildcats there. But, yeah, what was your take seeing that live?
Yeah, I mean, from 2 sides. One was I've been pleasantly surprised with the Kings, and this was another example of that. They still have a lot to do to get where they need to be, and that showed in the 7 of 40 3-point shooting, and they relied on that heavily. But from the Wildcats' perspective, very disappointed in them. But in some ways, I'm not entirely surprised. The Websters are a bit of a weak link when it comes to D and rebounding, those things. Bryce Cotton tries to do his thing, but he's there to play offense, and he had 22 points, I think. And
he was about the one guy that really turned up, didn't he? I think they might have had one other guy in double figures, but if Bryce didn't turn up there. And look, Wildcats do have a lot of new players on that team, but then again, so do the Kings. And the thing is for the Kings, they've potentially got their first or second best player to come back soon. I mean, imagine adding DJ Hogue to this team, Mooks. That's unbelievable, right?
Well, that's actually a big conundrum. I don't know what they're going to do, because that means taking away some minutes from someone or more than one person. And will that be, because talking about, the guys who are in that sort of grouping is the likes of Galloway, Tui, Portnoy, Jonah Bolden, and then even Valentine. So all of that 2, 3, 4 positions is where DJ Hogue is. Look, it's fantastic in terms of depth if injuries come up, touch wood, they don't. But it's a big issue in terms of those guys suddenly losing minutes and feeling, the resentment at that. It always happens in a deep team. And it could even, perhaps it extends down to the likes of Sean Bruce. Maybe you can somehow move one of the other guys to play some more point guard. But, for example, I wouldn't want to see Valentine, based on what we've seen of him. I would hate to see him playing the point guard if Jalen Adams is not on the court. But he's shown an ability to whiz some fantastic passes, but his ball handling leaves a lot to be desired.
Hey, shout out to Geordie Hunter. He was just the most dominant player in that game, wasn't he? He was just unbelievable, wasn't he? Both ends of the court. So he really impressed me, actually.
His motor was amazing. He was just getting into everything. He was stealing a lot of stuff away from those Cats big men who just didn't seem to want it as much as
100%.
He was. And once he got a roll on, he was really enthused to jump into everything. And that's 2 straight home 20-point games from him. He's he had 2 points on the road in between those two, and 2 20-point games. So it's looking really good from that perspective. And always saw that in him. He's a smart player. He's athletic. He's very mobile for a big. And he's had some good training against the likes of Bogut there. So he, I think we can expect to see more of that from him. He's a good young vocal leader on the team as well. He played fantastically. But for me, I think one thing for the Kings that has been a real benefit is Galloway, Tui, their athleticism just causing havoc around midcourt, and that hurt the Wildcats. The length of those guys and the athleticism, such young guys, the maturity they've got. They don't talk; they just play, and they in there getting steals and getting dunks and getting rebounds. And John really was asked in the post-game press conference about the rebounding and whether it was a desire thing, whether it was a structural thing, or whether they just weren't good enough. And his response actually, I think, was pretty spot on. He said the Kings have got these long athletic guys who manage to just streak in there off the long rebounds, and that comes down partly to desire, but it also comes down to athleticism and length, and
well said,
done that well.
Shout out to, of course, the NBL One East as well. It was great to see Alex Tui and Ben Henschel out there. And those back-to-back threes that Alex Tui hit, I think in the third quarter, that really sort of broke the game open, didn't it? He's got a really sweet-looking shot, doesn't he? Knows, gets in good positions as well. And when you've got guys like Jalen Adams around, he'll make that extra pass there, and a smart, system they've got in there with the Kings. But, yeah, he's really impressed, hasn't he? I mean, he's, would you say he's favourite for Rookie of the Year? In fact, Rookie of the Year, I'm never quite sure how that works these days after they change the rules, but he's really been impressive so far anyway.
He's up there, but it's a tight battle. I mean, Sarr is up there. Bobby Clintman, who was my preseason pick for Rookie of the Year, he's looking very good as well. There's a few guys, and it could come down to any of those guys as the season goes on. There's a lot of it's such a fantastic season, exciting to see all these young guys coming through.
For sure,
and there was shout out to the sneaky Jesse Wagstaff. There was one play there where I saw after Tui had hit a couple of those threes in a row, and then Tui kind of fell to the ground and kind of twisted his knee, and he was up and he was kind of hobbling a bit, but he said he'd keep playing. And the very next play, Wagstaff gave him a really strong push, pushed him to the ground, and got called the foul for it, and then did the what me sort of thing.
I was waiting for Angus Glover and Jesse Wagstaff to have a flop off on Sunday and see who could do the biggest flops there. I don't know. That's a pretty close race between those two there. We might call that a tie at this stage. It would be, wouldn't it? Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. So, like we said, that game came down to rebounding, and it's a concern for the Cats. But, on to the next one.
definitely. Look, maybe before I put up the slides for this next round, I wanted to quickly get your thoughts on the Aaron Baines suspension there. Obviously, that came out, I think, was it during the Friday night game? Or no, the Saturday game, I think it was. It was they were sort of crossing to it live in the game there. So for those that haven't heard yet, you probably would have, but yeah, 5-game suspension for Aaron Baines. Pretty damning video got leaked as well of him putting a pretty solid shove on Coach Ford there in the tunnel there. But what were your thoughts on 5 games?
So the breakdown of the suspension. So there was one game for the kind of the intimidation of the referee on the court. One game, I believe, for the push and shove on the way through the tunnel with Lat Main on the way through, and then 3 games for the shove situation in the tunnel. Now, I feel like if all the other stuff hadn't have happened, there's no way you get any suspension for a bit of shoulder barging on the way through with Lat Main. And the on-court stuff, I thought the referee in question did very well to try and step away and avoid what should have been an additional tech for the way Baines was carrying on. And I think if he hadn't have been such a doyen of the Australian basketball scene, he would not have got away with what he did, because it was clear disrespect, and everyone worldwide pretty much was watching that. So that deserved more punishment at the time, and I know the referee was trying to be, good at. So the 3 games in the tunnel thing, after seeing the actual footage of what happened, maybe the 3 games was lenient.
It wasn't a good look. And I think the other thing which wasn't released is the sound from that as well. So apparently Coach Adam Ford was mic'd up. So there obviously would have been, they would have seen that video plus heard. So if he was like making threatening sort of comments as well as pushing him like that, I think that probably would have sealed his fate there as well. So yeah, I was a little bit thinking it was a little bit too high, maybe 2 to 3. But after seeing that leaked footage, which I'm not quite sure how that got leaked, but anyway, look, it's a shame to see the big banger out for this many games. But yeah, he's hopefully he'll come back and learn from this, right?
Absolutely. And look, the flip side of not having the audio is we don't know. Did Adam Ford say to him, "Oh, mate, are you okay? I'm just checking on you. You're right," or did he say, "Yeah, you can't touch my players"? There, we don't know which way he went with that. And
was he calling him Captain Redbeard or something? Who knows? Did he try and provoke him? I'm not sure.
And he was found to have had no wrongdoing. So the question mark on that is, well, does Adam Ford, is that his normal ritual? He always stands in the tunnel and thinks before he goes in, or did he wait out there because it appeared like he was waiting there to antagonise? And I don't know where Baines was coming from either, because he sort of had gone in with the rest of the team, but then he'd been somewhere else. And a lot of question marks around it. It's a shame what happened. A lot to think about, and it really disrupts Brisbane's season.
Yeah, no, well said. I agreed. Well, I might put these slides up there, Mooks. Quite a small round, actually, compared to some of the other rounds. I think there's only about 6 games here. So I've managed to get these slides up the last few weeks without stuffing it up. All reports from India at the moment, and Woody's been saying I've been doing an okay job with that. So hopefully I'll continue that. Let's see if I can find that right now. Okay. All right. I can actually find this picture up and I'll put it on there. So, look, as I mentioned, we'll just go through the games very quickly there. So I might just read them out quickly there, Mooks, and we can just get a quick thought there. So we're starting off on Thursday night, standalone game. We've got Adelaide, who had their first win last year, taking on Southeast Phoenix. What's your thoughts on that game?
Yeah, so Adelaide, I was really happy to see them get that win against Illawarra, and for Flowers to play as well as he did. So let's see, just to talk about Flowers for a second, I think he clearly received poor advice on the people around him, the situation he was in, to originally be coming into what was promised as a starting point guard role, to think that he could come into a league like this and just slot in. It's just an easy thing. Let's have a run and you can develop yourself. It's not a development league. It's not a cupcake league either, I've heard. And
that's right.
So it was a disservice to him, this 18-year-old, to think that. And he clearly came with the talent that everyone expected. And then to see what he could do last week and the way he played, he looked fantastic. I mean, he's got that bounce. He's big. He's strong. He's tall, and can shoot. I didn't realize he could shoot like that. And he played really well. And so, can Adelaide bottle that and move forward with it? And
do you know if DJ's playing in that game as well? Yeah.
Well, it's a good question because we just had the news just before going to recording that DJ has indeed signed with Adelaide.
Yeah, look, you'd think he would, wouldn't you? If he's been practicing over there this week, why would he not play in that game?
Exactly. And, well, we might as well talk about the DJ situation because from what I can see, the Kings are quite dirty about it. And understandably so. So to lay out the process for those that were unaware, DJ Vasiljevic asked for his contract to be cut so that he could go and pursue an out clause to go NBA/Euro opportunities. And he managed to get this opportunity on an Exhibit 10 contract with the Washington Wizards, which, was, as expected, waived by the Wizards, which ended up being then a G League opportunity. Now, subsequent to that, he's come back saying he wanted to play in the NBL and with Adelaide. And in the press, in the media release today about him joining Adelaide, he said, "Well, I realised the G League wasn't for me," and I kind of agree. It's not a great league for him. It's a league full of long, athletic guys, and it's not for a structured player like DJ, who I'm a big Vasiljevic fan, always have been, and so I didn't think that was going to be good for him. But the flip side of this is obviously the Kings had first right of refusal because him coming back, he was still under contract with them, and they, inverted commas, did him a favour in trying to help him pursue his career there. And Chris Pongrass came out publicly, said, "We did not expect this." The Kings said, "We originally amended the contract in good faith and completed the roster with the understanding that DJ would be playing internationally. Having him return to the roster at the expense of one of the other players, the roster they built, just wasn't going to work out. It wasn't going to be in the best instance of them, but they were surprised and disappointed with how this has been handled and another NBL team's role in the process." So this is a kind of another situation of Adelaide management not being liked by a lot of people. And this is, seems to be a bit of a recurring theme, but they're disappointed with Adelaide's meddling, it seems, in this and dragging Vasiljevic across. And I will also just read out what was said by DJ when he left the NBL to head off to the NBA. He talked about how much the Kings organisation had done so much for him, and how they provided him with all these great coaches. They gave him his first opportunity. "The Kings organisation will forever hold a place in my heart, and if I was to ever return to play in the NBL, there's only one team, the Kings." So
it's funny. I thought I'd remembered him saying something like that. Yeah, you're right. You put these quotes out there; they're there for life, right? Yeah, it's interesting, isn't it?
June. So it's amazing. Yeah, it can change in a few months.
It's interesting, isn't it? Well, yeah, look, I mean, I've made a pretty comment. I don't really probably share your love for DJ, but look, he's obviously, he's a solid, probably more than a solid player. I think he's going to help this 36ers team there. I'm not quite sure if it's the player they needed there. Potentially they needed a bit more of an inside presence there, but maybe they'll just try and shoot teams off the floor now and, have guys like him and Flowers bombing away. So, yeah, it'll be interesting. We'll have to look up when Adelaide are playing Sydney next. That could be quite an interesting game there. So
that would be fantastic. Yeah. It'll be great to see. I'm excited to see him back from that perspective. Will he fit? Yeah, I agree. Yeah. They'd be probably better going after a guy like Cook if they could have grabbed him. But either way, good to see him back in the league. But, I would have liked to have seen him make an NBA bid, but wasn't to be right now.
I think teams are going to be lining up for this Cook guy once Alvin Williams comes back for the Phoenix. There'll be a few teams after him. So, all right, well, we'll go just the one game on Friday night as well. So we're not getting that standard 9:30 on the East Coast Wildcats game. So the only game on Friday is Illawarra hosting Melbourne. So, look, Illawarra is no doubt they've been a bit of a disappointing team, and Melbourne had a really solid weekend. Didn't really talk about them, but they went 2-0, the same as the Kings did there, looking very good. So I'd say the misery might continue for Illawarra, and Melbourne could run out pretty comfortable winners in this one.
Yeah, agreed. I mean, after Illawarra lost to Adelaide, giving them that unexpected win, and then also losing by 30 to Tassie, including that 31-10 second quarter they had against the Jack Jumpers. It's going to be tough for them. Melbourne, we know they're super talented, fantastic defensively. They're right at the top of the pops when it comes to D. Obviously, a big concern for Melbourne, mentioning Matthew Dellavedova with it was not a good look, the way his head got clashed to the court the unfortunate impact with Sam McDaniel's leg, and we feel for Delhi after all he's been through, and it's just amazing how someone's head can be a magnet for hits like that poor guy. It was
it's crazy, isn't it? Such a tough bugger, isn't he? Yeah.
He is.
No, hopefully he's all right there. Well, the next game is a doubleheader Saturday, and the Southeast are back in action. So they've got a game on Thursday night and then Saturday in the early game. So pretty heavy schedule for them. So they're hosting Brisbane. Brisbane's one game for the weekend. So look, I think Southeast should probably get the win in this one there.
They should.
We'll see how they go in that Thursday. Yeah,
I'm going to call an upset. I'm going to call Brisbane getting one just on the back of the doubleheader for Southeast, and I just feel like Brisbane need to rally around, and this could be their upset win. Yeah.
All right. Well, then this is probably a big game for the Wildcats here, isn't it? They're just the one game this weekend. So Adelaide hosting the Wildcats, 8:00 Saturday night. Of course, Sydney time. We're talking there. So. Yeah, it'd be interesting. I'm sure DJ, if he's not available for that Thursday game, he'll definitely be playing for this one against his old mates, the Wildcats there. He's had some interesting, some games and comments of them in the past there. Look, this feels like a must-win for the Wildcats, doesn't it? I think, to drop both of those two, it showed you how competitive this league is. The Wildcats went from 3rd or 4th to 8th on the ladder there. Obviously, there's a few teams that haven't quite played a lot of games yet, but look, I'd say Perth will get up for this game, and they will find some form again there, I think.
This will be their resurgence for sure. But, I mean, could it be a worse thing in terms of a team that's on a high, Adelaide, and a team that's on a low in Perth? But we know Perth will bounce back, and Bryce Cotton's not going to allow that to happen. He looked pretty filthy after the Kings loss.
He did. And what a cracking double-header we've got on Sunday. I'm not sure if you're going out to the Kings game. I'm assuming you probably will be. But you are, of course. Nice. Well, we'll start off with the first game. So we've got Melbourne hosting New Zealand. So New Zealand will be back from the NBA games. As we mentioned, I think earlier they played Utah today. It didn't go too bad. Probably the closest game, I think, maybe out of those NBA games so far.
They had a terrible start and then a good run in the middle of the game to get it
That's
back.
right. The second half, they were solid, weren't they? Yeah. So, look, it's hard to go past Melbourne at the moment. Obviously, New Zealand's got a bit of a long road trip coming back. They might be a little bit fatigued from that, time differences and body clocks and that. So I'd say Melbourne will win this one and really sort of, consolidate the, spot at the top of the table there just with the one loss there. Any differences of opinion in that one?
100% agree with your assessment.
And what about this last game, Kings and Jack Jumpers? I mean, this probably is the game of the round, isn't it? Tasmania's in great form there. Sydney's really, fitting well with this team there. Give me a quick take on this game.
Yeah, look, this is going to be fantastic. Milton Doyle, I think the Kings are going to throw all these athletic bodies at him to try and shut him down. That's going to be interesting. I mean, the guy is unshakable, it seems, and he's such a star. Speaking of betting, he was the guy I managed to get 34-1 odds at the start of the season for him for MVP. So I'm very happy with that. And nice. He's at the moment he's potentially the favourite for MVP and playing really well. Then you think about Jordan Crawford has been phenomenal as well. He's been a real upstart, just so much impact. So Jalen Adams, the battle of those two is going to be amazing. I think it's going to be kind of a Adams versus Crawford, and then Milton Doyle versus a cavalcade of players being thrown at him, and it just comes down to the consistency of the JJs and that system they've got, the discipline that they show versus the Kings with that run and gun style. And if the Kings go 7 of 40 from deep, they're not going to get the same leniency on the board as what the Cats gave them. So it's going to be a great game.
Nice. Well, looking forward to this round. Yeah, big round of NBL action. But nice. Well, I think you've got a bit of a surprise for us to finish off the show, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Well, indeed. Yeah. Look,
you're going to rap for us, right? Or no?
Yeah, I was going to play cricket for you. No. I'll leave the rapping to Woody because I would only make a fool of myself. But it is classic packs time.
Oof.
And, this is always one of my favourite parts of the show, and being a fan of classic packs myself. And look, I have to shout out to Sports Card World in Rundle Mall in Adelaide. Whenever I get down to Adelaide, I try to drop in there. They have a great range. It's hard to find shops like that in this day and age with basketball cards like that. And last time I was there, I picked up a wide range of different classic packs. and today for your viewing pleasure, I have these were kind of my first ones that I really bought a lot of packs of.
Yep,
these
yep.
NBA Hoops, 91, 92. So
haven't done this for a few weeks, so hopefully I'm not too rusty. But yeah, looking forward to doing this.
I think it's like riding a bike for you. You're such a pro at this, mate. And let's see how we go.
I'll try and do us proud.
Right. So first one. So I'm going to have to, given how good you are at this, I'm going to try and pick some clues that are not so obvious. But so let's start with this guy's a bit of a power broker in the NBA these days. He was a great player on both ends of the court, particularly on defense. And these days he's a bit of a power broker in the head office realm. Originally attended college at McNeese.
Joe Dumars?
Very good.
Yeah, nice.
Joe D.
Nice.
Very good.
Yeah, I remember this set. That's a nice looking card.
These are great cards. This one, we've got an All-Star card here from the All-Star weekend in Charlotte. There's an Eastern Conference forward who was really a round mound of
Sir Charles.
Sir Charles Wade.
Straight out of Auburn. Nice. Ooh, yeah, nice looking card.
Yeah, very nice. Now, this one is, well, we've got a couple of really good players so far. This is another absolute star. And I'll give you a clue that his jersey is one of the ones there. And you can't see those jerseys, but you can work out from colours. You might have an idea. He's a guard who from Spokane, Washington.
Ooh, John Stockton.
Yes. So we've got another dream teamer there.
I was hoping we could see his tight shorts in that one, but it's not. Geez, that's a pretty good start, isn't it? Three really quality players there, yeah.
We're forming a starting five. We're doing pretty well. Right, now, wow, it continues. So, this player, one clue I'll give is that on the card the year prior to this, his name was different.
So it's got to be Hakeem Olajuwon, right?
Very good.
Wow, what a pack.
Look at this. We've got some
stars
NBA
everywhere.
Top 50 players. Now, this one.
The run's over, is it? Yeah.
No. It's an all-star card.
Ooh.
Joe D.
Oh, wow, a double Joe Dumars pack. Wow.
Right, now we go to another guy who not as much of a star. Had a lot of kudos coming out of college. Also went into the head office realm. Became a bit of a power broker in the head office realm. Was the number 2 pick in the 1989 NBA draft. The Dookie.
Bobby Hurley.
No.
Grant Hill.
No.
Does everybody hate him?
Drafted by that's a lot of Dookies.
That's true.
Drafted by the Clippers.
Oh, Elton Brand. Yeah.
No. This is 91, 92 before Elton Brand signed.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Now, that's a curveball. He was drafted by the Clippers. Didn't go to the Clippers.
Oh, could you get on him if you wanted to go from Sydney to like Taronga Zoo or something like that, or Danny Ferry? Yeah.
Very good.
Nice.
Right. This one. What clue can I give here? This one could call him the Colonel. He was a bit of a bruising sort of. Well, he's a small forward for the Indiana Pacers.
Mike Sanders.
Very good.
Nice.
Don't know what his real nickname was.
Like his old Pacers jerseys there too.
Yeah, they're fantastic. Those block letters. Right. This one is one of the not insert, but one of the additional cards they had in this series. So it's a non-player card. It's a stay in school, and all I'll say is that get my wife's name out of your effing mouth.
Oh, it's a Will Smith one. Wow, very cool.
How 90s is that?
Yeah, geez, I remember those ones back in the day. Wow, stays. What's on the back of that card?
Stay in school.
Oh, yeah. Wow. Very cool.
Yeah. Pretty cool. Right, now we've got another star So this is a big man. Attended Notre Dame. 3rd round pick. So that gives his vintage. He was picked in the same year I was born. He was drafted by Cleveland. Did play 1.5 seasons with them before then spending the rest of his career with one team. Center. In this particular card, he's wearing a face mask, which he did have for a little while because he had a bit of a rough bruising style about him.
Not Hot Rod Williams?
No, this guy's won a couple of championships as a starting center.
Starting center.
Known for his defensive, tough, sometimes people would say dirty play. 6'11", 260 pounds, born in Boston. Bad boy.
What number?
40.
Oh, Bill Lane Beer, of course. Yeah, started with Cleveland. Yeah, that's the clue on that one. Yeah, nice.
Yeah.
That threw me there, the Cleveland. Yeah, I always forgot about that. Yeah, no, good clues.
With you
no, I'm liking the clues, mate. You're already way better than Woody at this. Shout out to you, Woods. Yeah.
Now, this guy, hell of a shooter, went on to a post playing career with TV.
Dennis Scott?
Too quick.
Nice. I've got that jersey in the cupboard as well. Jeez, he's stacked on the kilos in that picture too, hasn't he?
Beautiful.
Oh, great shooter. Great shooter.
Beautiful jersey, that one. Beautiful jersey. Wow, this is a star-studded pack. Now we've got another all-star here.
Wow.
And this guy is a really good defender, guard for Milwaukee.
Alvin Robertson?
Very good.
Nice. I was a big fan of him. Yeah, he was a great defender, wasn't he?
Player.
Yeah. You picture those old Bucks uniforms, it was actually the animated kind of Buck thing on there. I quite like those ones back in the day there.
Yeah, you can see it there.
That's the one. That's it.
Yeah, they were great. Unsurprisingly, his All-Star game numbers are pretty light on. He never
didn't get a lot of opportunities there, did he? Got a few assists in one of the games,
yeah, playing behind the likes of Michael Jordan and Mark Price.
That's it.
All right, this one, bit of a tough one. This guy is a Spurs guy. Once again, he was the number 2 pick, first round, in the 1979 NBA draft by Chicago. Played 6 seasons with Chicago before moving to San Antonio. He is a 6'9". He's a small forward. Started out as a bit of a scorer in those early years with Chicago, then really dropped off. UCLA product. Played 4 years at UCLA, was a real scorer in college. Really efficient scorer.
What number was he?
Number 33 for the San Antonio Spurs. And
not Greg Anderson.
91.
Not Greg Anderson, no.
No. Lesser known than him. I mean, never on my radar. First name David.
Like Cortez? Corzine?
David Greenwood.
Oh, David Greenwood, yeah, I do remember him vaguely now. Interesting, yeah. I wouldn't have probably got that one. Yeah. That's the first probably real no-name in this pack, I think. Yeah.
Yeah. But he was another number 2 pick in the draft.
High pick.
Right, this guy, another one of these guys with that fantastic Pacers jersey. He was a reserve point guard on those really good early 90s Pacers teams.
Hayward Workman?
No.
Vern Fleming?
Slightly before. Vern Fleming. I think he was just before Hayward.
Yeah, he was a solid player, Vern Fleming, wasn't
he? Yeah, solid. He was with the Pacers for a long time, averaging about 14 points a game every season.
He was kind of there, I think, before Mark Jackson came along eventually and took that point guard role.
True.
Yeah.
Oh, and look, we've got another one.
Oh, wow. 2 Will Smith staying schools and 2 Joe Dumas.
He's really, And finally, one last. So
no Hawks or Blazers, I noticed so far. So
no, none. No checklist either. So this guy was a really solid swingman, shooting guard / small forward, starting role, but he's best known as being a bit of a foil for the GOAT. He's 6'7", third round pick in 1983. Started out with Houston and then played with Cleveland, I think exclusively. I don't know if he ended up anywhere else after that. So think about who was at shooting guard for Cleveland in those early to mid 90s.
Craig Elo.
Yeah.
Yeah, nice. Former Atlanta Hawk as well there, Craig Elo.
Yeah, sure, of course, yes.
Nice.
He went to Atlanta after that, didn't he?
Yeah.
Yes. So that was
hell of a pack. Some great clues there, Mooks. I appreciate you bringing the card out of the pack out of your personal collection, and some great clues there. So we Woody's job could be in jeopardy, honestly. Yeah, he's on thin ice when he comes back. I'll tell you, he's got to get some better clues out there for me. But what a pack though, jeez.
That was.
Apart from David Greenwood, it was pretty much all named players there. A couple of Will Smith ones, which is a bit random, but yeah.
Yeah, that's some Hall of Famers there. Whenever I open a pack, I always try to create a starting five out of it. And hard task on that one.
That would be, wouldn't it? Yeah. Very good. Enjoy doing that, mate. Yeah,
that was good. It was good fun. Nice. Yeah. So now sort of wrapping things up. We didn't have any corrections from last week, did we? So.
No, we didn't. I think we did all right there. Shout out to Nathan from the Sports Blokes. Really appreciate him coming on there. But I might do a bit of a quick tease as well. We've got the other half of the Sports Blokes, Stu, coming on next week. I'm actually going to reverse the Classic Packs thing, and I'm actually going to be testing him out. So I'll see if I can get some good clues out. I know he loves the Classic Packs. I know we did a little bit of this at Woody's party where we're sort of, going through random players. So I'm looking forward to get Stu on there. But nah.
Fantastic knowledge. Yeah. So, thanks for tuning in, everyone. It's been a pleasure and an honour for me to be part of this. So please subscribe to the show on YouTube or wherever you listen to it or listen to your podcasts. And now, Robbie, maybe you can just tell us where we can find Throwback Hoops on the rest of the social media sphere.
Absolutely, mate. So, look, we can be followed on Twitter or X, whatever you want to call it, at Throwbacks Hoops. On Instagram, we're throwback.hoops. Of course, our email address is throwbackhoopspodcast@gmail.com. Had a couple of emails come in recently, people with jersey requests and, asking if we've got this player and that player, so keep those coming. Someone also told me I haven't rocked an NBL jersey for a while, so maybe next week I might have to get a random NBL one out of that cupboard behind me and maybe do that. But, thanks. Obviously for everyone, everyone's support there. We're also on Patreon there. If you could pledge a couple of dollars a month, it would really help us with the production, all the associated expenses with maintaining this podcast. And might throw it back to you as well there, Mookie. I know we did do this when you were on the show last time, but where can people sort of follow you and listen to you? What are your details there?
Probably the best one is on Twitter at A Stern Warning. You can find me online at asternwarning.com, where I hope to put a bit more content out, which I haven't done for some years, but I'm looking to, with the enthusiasm I've got for the basketball scene, particularly the NBL at the moment, I'm looking to put some content out again. So asternwarning.com or Mookie, which is MOOK.IE.
Nice. And, mate, I've got to say, it's just been an absolute pleasure having you on this. I know I gave you the tough task there. We've had Jacinta and Nathan the last few weeks, and I've kind of hosted it this week. I've said, hey, do you want to host it and do all these things there? And I thought you did an amazing job there. And, really enjoyed going through those NBA over and unders there. Maybe we'll keep a little bit of a record of that, and we can, look back at some of those predictions later in the season, see how well or how badly we went with some of those. But don't forget, for those playing at home, my lock was Miami to go under. Your lock was Portland to go under. So if anyone's keen for a bet, get on those. But, good stuff, mate.
Gamble responsibly.
That's right.
Yes. Well, thank you for having me on the show, and everyone at home, stay safe and stay awesome.
Appreciate it, Mooks. Peace out, everyone.
Yes.
See you, Woods.